everybody. Vicki Fitch here, your direct sales expert. I'm also the host of Vicki Fitch Live, A Fresh Perspective. So I am super excited that you guys are here watching the show. I'm really excited about my guest. And those of you who had just came from Periscope and Facebook, thank you guys for being here. We are going to get the comments on here soon on my iPad. But let me tell you a little about my guest, because I know some of you guys are waiting with bated breath to see this guest. Now, she's a rock star. Let me just tell you a little bit about her real quick. Courtney is the co-founder and executive creative director for Purematter. She's named one of 2016's top 50 most influential social media marketing brands. If that doesn't impress you right there, I have to tell you, I just want to salute her or give her a little bow or something, because that's not easy to come by. Social media is a tricky field, right? She also is proud to be one of only 3% of female creative directors in the United States. And I have to tell you, there's a chapter in her book that talks all about this and how important it is that we stick together as women. That's why I'm super glad that it's the all-girls show today, except for our production team, which we'll talk about them later because they are rock stars, but we'll just pretend they're girls for a minute. She's also an accomplished creative strategist, storyteller, writer, and designer. She's earned hundreds of creative awards, and her first book, 21 Reasons Creativity is Like Sex, launched as a #1 business humor book on Amazon in the fall of 2016. So I know that you guys are impressed, and I know some of you, especially that have downloaded this podcast, are saying, what did I hear, Vicki? Yes, 21 Reasons Creativity is Like Sex. So our normal GPG rating is still here, but we do encourage you maybe to have, because we are going to be talking about some issues that might be a little bit more mature. They aren't going to be repulsive or vulgar. They are a little bit more mature. So you might want to not have the kiddos listen in until you've already listened to the broadcast and decided if it's appropriate for your kids. So I just wanted to remind you that in advance, but don't judge a book by its cover and judge a person by the title of their book. I'd like to introduce you now to my just as of yesterday, super dear friend, Courtney Smith Kramer. Courtney, I am so glad you're here. How are you?
I'm super glad to be here. Thank you so much for having me on the show.
Oh, it is my pleasure. I have, like I said, yesterday we talked. I feel like we became fast friends. If you don't agree, don't tell anyone, because then you'll just embarrass me. Just pretend like we're besties, right? Woo!
I agree.
Good.
You're very easy to talk to. You make people feel very comfortable.
Oh, thank you. And I see Steve, Michael, and Stacy are in the house. Guys, thank you so much for being here. I hope that you guys have shared out the broadcast for us. I'm trying to get your comments up right now, so give me just a second. But I hope that you guys are sharing out this broadcast, because honestly, this will be worthwhile. And I have to tell you, we have some juicy secrets coming up. Yeah, exactly. Courtney has agreed to share something here. So you guys, let's see. Wash your mouth out after the broadcast, David. That's funny. Wagner in the house. David Brand is here. Steve Walker. Again, Steve Walker happens to be, for those of you guys who are local, he is the realtor that sold me my house, which I absolutely love. So some of you guys have gotten the opportunity to see some of the things, see this house, and it's a great one. So just FYI there. So Courtney, let's kind of dive into you. I always have a question of the day that I start out with, and your question of the day is, what one word describes your personality?
Curious.
Okay, that's a good one. I remember seeing on your website something about what did you have put there? It's Curious Minds or something like that.
The title of my blog is Confessions of a Curious Mind.
There you go. I love that. And I think curious is a great description. It shows somebody who's seeking and wants information and is kind of really out there investing in things to gain experiences, gain information, so you can give what we call a fresh perspective.
Hey.
See, we're such
I was made for your show. It's so weird.
Right? I know. I love it. Okay. So we do, really quick before we kind of dive in, I want to remind you guys that community is a really big part of what we do here. And I would love for you guys to be part of my Entrepreneurial Rockstars group. So if you guys want to be in a community of people that want to give at least as much as they get, go to VickiFitch.com/freebies and click on the link for the Entrepreneurial Rockstars. Join our group. Usually we have a rock star popping in as a cameo appearance, sharing about their business, but Courtney has an event today, so we have to cut the broadcast down a little bit. But join the Entrepreneurial Rockstars. We'd love to have you on as one of our guests as well. So thank you so much for putting that up, Rob. And we're going to go back to you. And I want to start out with you telling us what your story is, Courtney. Just tell me a little bit about you, who you are, where you grew up. What makes you you?
What makes me me? Well, let's see. I am from here. Let's see if anyone gets that reference. Someone put it in the comments if you get that reference.
Okay, there you go.
It means I'm from Michigan. I'm just a good old sweet girl from Michigan.
I love it. I love it.
And spent my first 30 years there, and had the privilege or serendipitous opportunity, I guess, to run into Brian at an advertising conference in Washington, D.C. Back in 1999. And we became inseparable, the 2 or 3 days that we knew each other at the conference, and started a long distance friendship that turned into a romance. And we ended up marrying 2 years later, and I moved to California. And I've been here now for almost 16 years and love it. Brian and I opened Purematter, which is our social and digital agency, about that same time in 2002, and have weathered the the ebbs and flows of Silicon Valley, if you will. And most recently, about 6 months ago, we decided to go virtual as an agency, and got rid of our office and converted everyone to contractors and decided to work from home and never look back. So
excellent.
Yeah. I guess everyone we tell just says, "Oh my God, I wish I could do that."
Right? Exactly.
Great.
Well, yeah. When you decide to take what is good in your life and make it better, and the things that are challenging for you, and you turn that around, I think that's awesome. Is that we have to look at opportunities to make our life and live our dreams the way we want to, and it sounds like you did.
Yeah. Well, and when you're in your own life, it's really hard to see some opportunities.
You know. True. It's true. As a business coach, one of the things that I tell people is that you're too close to a situation. I need you guys to open up that mind a little bit so I can share some things, and then we marinate on it, and then we make decisions, because like you said, it's scary. Change is scary, right?
Change is absolutely scary. So that's way we laugh. That's why we, talk about things that challenge us and make light of it.
Well, and it kind of brings us up into this book. Like, one of the things that you told me is that you want to be the Carrie Bradshaw of creativity. That's kind of an actual quote that you used. And so, how we look at those things is really, important, and that how we decide we're going to dream, we decide we're going to build. And, I would love to know where that comment came from, and what inspired you?
Well, if anyone has seen Sex and the City, the show and the movie, there's a character in there called Carrie Bradshaw, played by Sarah Jessica Parker. And she has a very unique sense of observation and a way of storytelling that helps to, I think, unravel interesting issues, or maybe some deeper insights,
sure.
That in a very playful way. And I feel like that to me is super sexy and super fun.
Yeah.
I love to write. It's my happy place. So if I could become the Carrie Bradshaw of creativity, it would be amazing.
Well, and I think honestly, and first of all, I'm going to sidetrack here and say hello to some of the guests here. I see Carlos is in the house. Bernie is here. Sam is here. And Sam, by the way, our production team here, we have Sam Gonzalez as well as Rob Hicks. And Sam is actually in Michigan. So, he knows what this means.
I'm so sorry.
And they are an amazing production team. So if you guys haven't stepped up your game yet and decided to go and have a produced show, you've got to talk to Rob Hicks and Sam Gonzalez, because they are the bomb. I see that we've got some amazing other people here. Miss Mia Voss is in the house. Bernie Hunt, Carlos Phoenix. I see Mr. Brian Kramer joined us too. And I think those of you who don't remember when she said she met Brian in 1999, that's who she's talking about, her hubby, Brian Kramer. So Brian, thanks for being here as well. And Brian is actually going to be a guest in a couple of weeks on Vicki Fitch Live of Vic the Bully in Your Head. He has a fantastic story that I hope you guys will be here for. So as we go, into the conversation here of that, we want to talk about your book. That's kind of a primary reason we're here. We want to drive some traffic to your book, and we want to kind of debunk some of the mysteries and some of the judgment, because let's face it, people judge books by a cover, right? They judge people by comments and looks and all kinds of stuff. And, I happen to be a Christian, and I actually talk about being a Christianpreneur, right? And there's the book cover, which we're going to talk about that in just a second. We're going to put that up and again in a second, Rob, but that's her book right there, 21 Reasons Creativity is Like Sex. And we're going to talk to her about what those finger motions, they don't mean what you think exactly. So she's going to share that with you. But we don't want to judge a book by its cover. And as a Christian, I had a lot of people asking me, what? You're going to talk about what on your show? So I want to show you guys that this woman has taken a subject that sometimes not certainly the way she's done it, could be a little bit dry. She's taken facts and information, blended it together with humor, authenticity. And I found the book charming. I will admit there's a couple F-bombs, a couple little pieces in there that are outside of my comfort zone, but it didn't detract from the me genuinely liking the book and literally laughing out loud, like seriously burst into laughter a couple of times. And we need to not take ourselves so seriously. And I think that you gave us that opportunity. So tell us a little bit about the book. I'm going to have Rob put the title up again with your picture, and I'd like you to tell us about this.
Well, as we say, this is the peace sign and pointer, right? But this actually means 21 reasons, 21. And then that is why it's like sex.
Right.
So there's a double meaning,
right?
Double meaning. There's a lot of innuendos in the book for sure. But the reason why I thought it was going to be appropriate is, first of all, I've always been, I don't know, maybe because I grew up in Michigan and kind of in a sheltered, also pretty religious, faith-based household. I was very, very curious about, what does this mean? What is this sex thing? And wanted to find out more about what it was all about. And I couldn't believe that it was only a world of extremes. I couldn't believe that it was only totally, taboo and, missionary style versus, totally the opposite direction, hardcore, things that make us feel gross and need to take a shower.
Right.
So I think over the years, I just kind of spent some time, researching, and I was just curious about it, not like actively, like I was going to be writing a book, like when I researched it for the book, but I felt like it was such a great metaphor for creativity, having, been trained in the creative field, in the creative arts. And I really feel like that when you can use a metaphor that makes people a little bit uncomfortable, it really does make them lean in just a little bit closer and stop listening to the voices that are in their head and actually listen to what either they're reading or what's being said. And this is a tactic that I kind of learned from Tony Robbins. He does this a lot in his teachings, but he does it differently. He actually starves you and makes you sleep deprived, which I promise I won't do.
In my case, it gets your jaw dislocated, but that's a whole other story. We can talk about that later.
But I mean, sex is just fun to talk about. It's when you're in a healthy relationship, or you're very comfortable with your own self and you understand what you're getting into and it's not dangerous and no one's getting hurt, then there's a lot of room for exploration and just fun and, curiosity and experimentation. And so I think that's also too, what I feel like needs to be talked about a little bit more, because I think people get very uncomfortable when it comes to talking about sex, and even creativity, as well, because we've been somehow told, I don't know, it's like, the Harry Potter sorting hat, they're like, you are creative, you are not creative. Right. It's like sorts people, as they're growing up, once we become past maybe 6 or 7 years old, and we start telling ourselves that story that we're not creative at all. And that's just not true. It's as human beings, we are naturally hardwired to find new solutions. Just what happens is we start getting into our routines. Sure. And the neural, connections in our brain start connecting in the same way. And if we don't get outside of our comfort zone or experience new things like travel or, meeting new people or learning, a language or learning about a different culture or anything that breaks our brain a little bit, then those new connections can never happen. So I think that's really, what we need to understand about creativity.
Yeah. Well, and it's a good thing. There's a lot of great people in here. Mia Voss says, by the way, she's waving at you. And Brian, of course, says he knows the guest. But Carlos wrote he's getting hot and bothered. He's going to go design a logo. So, it's okay for people to understand what's going on. Mitch Jackson says he loves being hardwired. It keeps him out of trouble. So,
Mitch.
And then I see Miss Jenny Q is in the house. She's my BNB, Jenny Q, good to see you. And Jenny Jones is also here. And again, we have the greatest group of people that come in here. Thank you guys for being here. And please share this out. For those of you guys who have downloaded the podcast, thank you guys for watching. This right here is episode number 27. So if you guys want to see what's actually going on, I know you're listening to us, but if you want to see what's going on, I want you guys to go to VickiFitch.com. Go to the Vicki Fitch live page and download this, or you can see it on YouTube. You can also catch it here on Facebook Live. We would love for you guys to check out. Again, Courtney is a lovely lady, and getting to see the title of the book and what she's doing makes a really big difference. So I hope that you guys will take a moment to do that. So let's kind of go back here for a second. I wanted to play a quick little clip of what Mark Feidelman had said about your book and to give people his actual overview. So if you could play that video clip for us really quick, Rob, I'd appreciate it.
It's late at night. You're in bed. You're in the mood for a provocative book. You start to read. Then you get a tingling feeling inside. You reach out to your spouse. He gets excited. Then you turn to him and say, creativity matters. And that's exactly how I felt about Courtney Smith Kramer's book, 21 Reasons Why Creativity is Like Sex. It's really two books in one. It is a sex book, and it is a business book, and it should come with a rated R rating. So what you get in this book is both sex and business advice. And both are pretty good. You don't really get the full sensation of either. She kind of molds them together, but she does it in a way that keeps you interested, I should say. I read through this book in about 3 hours. It kept me engaged the entire time. So great business advice. You will learn something in this book. It's even better because there's sexual innuendo. Now, some of you might not like that. For me, I liked it. I liked the way she did it. And I know Courtney, so I know what she was talking about. So I give this book a read it, which isn't the top New York Times bestseller, but definitely something you're going to learn from, especially if you need business advice and you like sex. So let me know after you buy it. You could buy it. Look in the description below. But let me know if you like it in the comments, and if you have any questions. I know Courtney will be monitoring this video, so ask them in the comments below.
Okay, so you guys got to hear Mark's great little analogy of her book. And by the way, I have to say, I have to do this for my man, Joel Com, who just came in the house. So Joel, I love you, babe. Here you go. Look at your hard eyes.
Joel.
And he knows that. So, Rose is cracking up, thinks it's hilarious. Brian Fanzo's in the house. Brian, thanks for joining us. And you guys do us a favor and share this out, because we want people to hear about Courtney's book and the creative and humorous way that you've blended in these topics. I think, honestly, I was honest with you. I told you I was expecting it to be a little harsher. Like, I was a little nervous. It's the true story. I was a little nervous. Like, okay, how am I going to blend this? And I read the book, cracking up. There are some things that I talked about yesterday. I was like, girl, what was that drawing? Like, I was trying to figure that out. What the heck? But I loved how you brought the humor. The delicacy, talking about sex can be really tricky for people. Like you said, when people aren't confident in who they are, or if they've been put in some kind of box that oh, we don't talk about that. We don't talk about that. Then they start getting, the creativity factor starts getting suppressed. And I think that is what you've brought here when you say 21 reasons creativity is like sex. And that, some of the chapter headings are certainly provocative, right? Which is the whole point. And as someone as a creative director, to be able to take your words and articulate them, I've always said, I think it's more erotic for us to be able to not have to use, for us to use language that actually invokes a response versus just, harshness, whether it happens to be swearing or vulgarity. I'm not saying that in the bedroom is the same thing, but I'm saying that I think that there's an art to the words. And I think you did a really lovely job at putting them together and doing a little, tossing around. I call it a Fitch slap for those of you who've seen my podcast. Red said, a little Fitch slap in there to get people going, whoa, hello, what was that? Tell us some more about, what is it that inspired you to write this book, and the rebellion inside you that says, I have to do this all on my own.
Well, what inspired me was back in 2012, I was invited to judge a creative competition called the Addy Awards, sponsored by the American Advertising Federation, and which I do a lot of this judging, and I love it. It's fantastic. And I was invited to Albuquerque, and they told me maybe like 5 or 6 days before I had to go, oh, by the way, the night before the judging starts, you judges are the program at our nightly meeting. And I was like, wait, what? And I said, well, what am I supposed to talk about? And they said, oh, just talk about anything. And I thought, okay. Well, so I went back to my computer and I started putting together like a deck about our agency and our work. And I kind of finished, and I went and I presented it to Brian, and like halfway through I stopped and I was like, I'm so bored giving this that I can't even believe, like, the audience is going to be crying. Like, no one wants to hear about this. So I said, I got to come up with something else. So I kind of let it sit for a couple days. And about 3 days before I went to Albuquerque, I was in the shower, and which is another thing. I'll come back to that.
Okay.
But
share this out, Courtney.
I was in the shower, my shower story, that all of a sudden it was like a lightning bolt came. It was like, like right in my head. And I was like, oh my God, at the time it was 10 reasons why creativity is like sex. And by the time I was out of the shower, dressed, and to work, which is about, 20 minutes, I had the whole presentation completely worked out. Mm-hmm. And I was so excited to give it because I knew that it was going to be something that was different and that, people would respond to. So we get down there, and I was last. There was 4 judges, and I was last to go. And so I get up there, and all the other judges one guy talked about fishing, like another lady talked about their agency, whatever. Yeah, kind of a bore. No offense to the judges, because they're lovely people, but just anyway. So I got up there and gave the presentation, and it was so funny because at the end of it, first of all, I got done and it was totally quiet. And then I got like a slow clap. Like, it was like,
are we allowed to clap, or we're still in shock, right?
Like looking around, giving me the slow clap. And as soon as I left, and I was thinking about it later that night, and I was like, if I'm getting the slow clap, I think I'm onto something.
Right.
So how it manifested itself, and I talk about this in the book, but how it manifested itself was I actually wrote a screenplay that was called Mojo, that was based on the 10 reasons why creativity is like sex, and was so proud of it. Oh my God, I was done. I was, doing the whole Oscar acceptance speech, practicing in my bedroom and all that. And, started to try to pitch it, and yeah, that's not happening.
Not yet.
Maybe not yet, but it didn't work. It wasn't going to plan. Let's just put it that way.
Gotcha.
And so I kind of shelved it for a little bit, and like I think I said this in my book, but when you have something that needs to come out, like when your creativity is trying to find a way to manifest, right, it knocks at your brain like a slow knock. and you can't make it go away. And it
Is it like a slow clap, or are we talking?
Maybe that's the theme. First go slow, then go fast.
Right. Oh my gosh. That's one of your hashtags, WTSS.
Hashtag WSS. But anyway, so after about a year or so, it still was like nagging at me in my brain. And I thought, maybe a screenplay just isn't how this is supposed to manifest. And so I thought, I'll just give it a go. At the time at Purematter, we had started a self-publishing division. And so I thought, wow, we really know how to do this now. So it's not a big deal for me to go and actually self-publish, which I did. And so I just started writing and became very disciplined about it and set aside about 4 hours every Sunday. And that became my writing time, and just made sure my family knew, just don't bug me. Go do your other stuff. I'm going to go write. And just 9 months later, my baby was born.
Oh, I love that. And by the way, we have some other people here. Steve Eisenberg asked if you're related to Brian. Yes, they are married. Yes. Brian Fanzo called you hashtag the better Kramer, which I kind of like that. I'm just saying, as part of the girl. Sorry, Brian, I really like you, man, but your wife, she does take the cake. So I'm going with Brian Fanzo on that one.
Yes.
Susie Weitzman says, go Court. So big fan there, right? And Jennifer Quinn's going to remind you that writing a screenplay on its own is a huge accomplishment. But maybe it didn't go anywhere because the 10 reasons weren't enough, because you didn't get this out of it, right? So you didn't.
Like 10?
Yeah.
Oh.
Okay, all righty then. Definitely got to watch in the 10 reasons officially.
You gotta serve that up like a softball, girlfriend.
You know what? You're so right. But don't let the kids watch that part. Definitely, that was not kid friendly for sure. But again, we as adults can have fun. We can have fun with humor. We can have fun with context. We can have fun with innuendos. There's nothing wrong with it. And I reiterate that because I do know a lot of my audience, is part of the Christian community. And I want to remind you guys, this is a fun woman. It's a fun book. And again, I learned a lot from what was there. She blends in, statistical information, humor, context. It's a really great read. I mean, truly, it really is. So, and again, I was worried. I'm honest. I was worried about how it was going to come out. And I was so impressed that I just had to connect with her before the interview and just tell her, give her some kudos and say, I thought it was great. It was a fantastic book. I see some other comments and stuff are rolling in as well. Mia said she was excited when she first met Brian. Then she met Courtney and dropped BK like a hot potato. So it's a love-hate thing. We know Mia, she kind of goes up and down. We know she had a day today.
You can have us both, everyone. You can have us both.
They're a package, but they're allowed to separate. Right? Yes. Anyway, so again, great. The book is great. You wrote your own foreword, right? I'm turning red. Susie says I'm turning red. Am I blushing? Red is always right. Maybe that's right for my cheeks as well. So, Courtney, you wrote your own foreword. So that was a little rebellious of you, and you write about that in the book. Tell us about that.
Well, it was sort of by accident because I didn't realize that other people are supposed to write your foreword, so I just wrote it.
Right.
And then Brian was reading a copy of it, and he's like, dude, you wrote your own foreword? You're not supposed to do that. And I was like, oh, well, it's too late. Oh, well.
And I think you wrote in the book, so sue me. Again,
right. What am I going to do? It's done.
That right there just says, okay, I'm Courtney, right? And this is how I did it. Hey, I didn't know any better. And you know what? I'm not trying to pretend that I did know better and I'm going to fix it. I'm just going to say, hey, I'm here. I love your Twitter handle at CS, Courtney Smith has arrived, right? So at CS has arrived. It's like, I'm here, I'm in the house, love me or hate me. You got to just take me for who I am. And I just loved it. I thought it was so legit. And so it was refreshing. It really was, that you weren't trying to pretend you knew everything, even though you have a husband that's, definitely got books and you have a self-publishing company. You didn't try and pretend that you know everything about it. You know where your lane is. Rob Hicks, our producer, always says, stay in your own swim lane, right? It's easy you can traverse different places, but stay in your own swim lane. and you brought humor and creative writing to the forefront and did, again, a stellar job. I love that transparency.
Well, thank you. I feel like my head is not going to fit in this frame.
Right, I'll slap you around a little before we're done. So
I'm totally kidding. Totally kidding. No, I really appreciate that. And the fact of it is how much information is out in this world. Like it would take I can't remember what the statistics, I'm going to totally botch this, but it was like, it would take 800 years to read every single Wikipedia page that's out there or some insane statistic like that. You get my point.
I get you, girl.
The whole thing is we're all on this journey of life together. So why not be curious and share the information that we're finding and the things that fascinate us and inspire us, because you never know what is also going to inspire someone else to go do something that's going to inspire someone else. So I kind of feel like that's why we're all here. I mean, let's discover stuff. Let's figure this out together, because nobody has it all figured out. That's secret number one. Nobody has it figured out.
Hashtag secret number one. Well, and it's true. And it's the pretentious people that try and pretend that they do. And I'm not saying there's not a lot of people that don't have a lot figured out, but like you said, being real. And that is where we're trying to find our tribe. And when we write books, even as an author myself, we want people to like it. We want people to read it, because we didn't write it just to say, hey, I wrote something. We want people to actually resonate with the message and catch it and talk about it. And so, throwing it out there gives us a little bit of vulnerability, right? It makes us a little bit vulnerable. And I have to say, you exposed vulnerability all over the place, because you talked about a taboo topic. I mean, it's in some circles, it's not taboo. Like it's not only expected, but, kind of consumed like, pizza or something, or chocolate. That's my own personal obsession. Chocolate and caramel. We won't talk about that tonight. And so you've offered that up for people to come take sample size or to really gorge on the feast that you've laid out for them. So tell us a little bit more about that and about your thing where you say ego is the creativity killer.
Yeah. Well, I mean, ego is the ultimate in self-importance, right? Mm-hmm. There's a difference between being selfish, which I don't think being selfish is a bad thing, because selfish, in my opinion, is taking care of yourself, which everyone should, and looking out for yourself and your best interest, but not at the cost of hurting anyone else. But ego is elevating your own self-importance over others. And that is the opposite of creativity. Creativity is truly being completely open and sharing ideas and making new connections and not being afraid, where I feel like ego is 100% fear driven. Mm-hmm. It's all about, I need to protect myself. I need to make sure that I am, better than everyone else. And you can't be making new connections in your brain when all you're doing is thinking about your own self-promotion or self-preservation. And so that's why I call it it's the creativity killer, because you need to exercise vulnerability in your life in order to get outside of your comfort zone, to make these new connections. And that brings me to my shower story.
Okay, well, definitely fill that in. So, gotta hear this.
To bring this full circle. So the shower, I know a lot of people, I'm not unique in this respect, but a lot of people have interesting ideas or revelations while they're in the shower. And there's a reason for that, because I call it the double D's in the shower, which is it's distraction and dopamine, which is the water sound and the warmth of the water as you're standing in the shower helps to almost serve as white noise, if you will. And what that does is it blocks out a lot of the chatter in your brain, and it allows your mind to wander to different places that you normally wouldn't. And when this happens, the chemical dopamine is released in your brain, which is the chemical that is associated with happiness and positivity. And when you experience both of those, that sort of combined euphoria of being in that environment is so freeing in your brain that it allows that different neurons to connect with each other and come up with new and interesting ideas that have been ruminating in your head for a very long time.
So we even blending a psychology lesson, a medical lesson, as well as creativity lessons. We got sex going on here. I'm pretty sure we could start a whole workshop from what's going on here, but that makes perfect sense. I love that because you're right. I mean, I always come up with the most amazing ideas in the shower where I don't feel stress. I'll I'll have a problem and I'll just, I'll get in the and I'm like, oh, like, why didn't I catch that before? So I had no idea, but that makes perfect sense. I love that you shared that.
Yes, there's true science behind it.
I love that too. It's not just you making facts up because that's always nice.
No. Although, I mean, I could make up facts, but
me too.
No one wants a Cliff Clavin.
Yeah, I was going to make up your bio and make it really extreme and crazy, but like a dominatrix and stuff. I thought, I better not. Yeah, I better do what you've got. Which actually brings me to one of the questions Jenny Q just asked, which is, how do your kids feel about mom writing a book about sex? It's not really about sex. It's just,
they think it's hilarious. I got to tell you, we've always been a really open family with our kids. And anytime our kids would ask questions about sex, I would just be completely honest with them. Because I knew that if they weren't ready to hear the answer, then they would just stop talking and stop asking. But if they really were ready to hear it, they would start asking more questions. Right. So our son especially is very, very curious and open, and he asks a lot of questions. And so my computer faces the garage door. And so every day when my son comes home from school, he could see what I'm working on. Mm-hmm. And there's an adult coloring page in the book that uses the F word that I won't say right now.
I saw that. It was very lovely, though. I have to tell you, it was done so beautifully. I couldn't even find offense in it.
Well, I mean, you guys have all seen these things, like these adult coloring pages that use, funny swear words or whatever. So the saying is there's no Fs were given, but it's all done in like these flowers and, like a flouncy design and everything. And so my son came home from school one day and he opens the door and he sees me designing it on the computer and the screen is facing, and he just stops and he walks over to my computer and looks at me. He's like, wow. So this is what you're working on? I was like, yeah, this is what I'm working on. He's like, okay, I'm going upstairs.
Isn't that funny? And how old is he?
He's 12 and a half.
Oh, see, I have a 14-year-old. So yeah. Okay. So you've blended it in where your family is on board with what you're doing. Like you said, you brought your office home, so you were able to commit more time to the family. And so they're getting to see what an entrepreneurial life is really like. Yeah.
And, I actually feel really good about the fact that I can put a very positive, open spin on sex for my son, like for him to feel open enough to ask me questions. I mean, sure. I will not go into it now, but the stuff he asked me, oh my God. Like I would never in a million years have asked my parents the stuff that he asked me. And just the very fact that he's comfortable enough, with, Brian and myself to even voice it out loud, like what most kids would probably keep inside their head and just search up on the internet and end up with who knows what in front of them. Right. Then I think I celebrate it. I think it's really, really cool.
Mm-hmm. Well, and I do too. I mean, like I said, I remember my son coming home, my older one, he's 20 now, coming home with some, interesting questions. And I've always my parents never talked about it. I mean, seriously, like zero. I learned everything from other people, and certainly it's not the way I recommend it because like you said, that curiosity, it leads us into directions that maybe are not the most appropriate for our ages. It's that curiosity inside. And so I really want my kids to be able to ask questions. And, my 14-year-old has Asperger's. And so he has more questions, but he doesn't want to ask them because he's already so worried about how his questions are going to be perceived that he kind of really stresses out about it. And so, I love the fact that your kids are open enough, that will ask you questions and that you guys are there to support that. Because again, I do believe that there is that a lot of creativity and a lot of questions, as a child, we're told, don't daydream, be quiet, sit there, be still. And I think we get quelched and I think we start to get put into a box. And then later we're asking them, hey, okay, now you're out on your own, go get a job, go be creative, go do this, go do that. And they're like, wait a minute, I'm still in the box. I need somebody to open the lid. And I think kind of that's what you've done a little bit here, Courtney, is that you've opened the lid to give people a peek in and say, we don't have to be ashamed of things. We don't have to pretend that we know. We can, and again, there was at least 10 times in that book where you're like, I don't even know what that meant. So I looked it up. And again, that it just made me, even as a reader, think, okay, because I didn't know what that word was either, so I didn't have to go look it up myself because you did the work for me. And so there's some really cool stuff that we want to continue to remember. This is what it's all about, is being, offering communities and people what they need to know and what they want to know, and what they need to hear. So there's some other things in the book but I would love to know. I think I had cut you off at one of your sentences. You were about to say something and I didn't. I went into talking about what Jenny's question was. Were there something on your mind that you wanted to address?
I can't even remember.
Yeah, because I cut you off. So,
I don't know. It's like, here's what happens. It comes in and it's like, poof.
I know. It goes in the RAM and then another thing comes up. There it goes. Well, that's how it goes for boys. So we just want them to think we're the same way so they don't feel inferior. Right? So let's see. I'm looking at our time here and we have, I think we're going to be good. We're going to have a special guest come on in just a little bit. So if that guest would like to come into the back room, into the green room, I think you have the link. You can come in and we'll introduce you in a couple of minutes. But there was something also in the book. First of all, chapter 8, reason number 8 was the shortest chapter in history. It completely cracked me up. There was 5 words and a hashtag, and I thought, hey, I have to use, I think I might steal that in one of my books and just say, hey, this is where it was. But again, it just showed a piece of your creativity and your fun. And it kept me laughing. There's just so much humor and so much fun there that I just, I wanted to say that I really thought, I think you're brilliant. So,
thank you.
Well, but I think you're brilliant.
Thank you.
You are welcome. So tell us a little bit, though, about this 90 days to Ellen. You guys had, as part of a little marketing thing that you talked about in the book, you talked about how getting things to go viral. And I just thought that was something really relevant in the creative space and you being willing to test out a theory. And again, not necessarily having the results you wanted, but seeing the bright side and identifying what you got and what the benefits were.
Oh, my gosh. Okay. So Brian talks about this in his book, both of his books as well. So maybe some people have heard about it. But so 90 Days to Ellen was a social experiment that we did about 3 years ago now. And it was an attempt for Brian Kramer, our friend DJ Waldo, and myself to try to show and prove that you could use social media to have lunch with anybody. Mm-hmm. And we were at dinner one night with DJ and his wife, Christina, who's not on social media. She's an OB and she refuses to get on. And having this great debate about, how great social media was, about how you can connect with anybody. And it's just such a powerful tool. And we just cooked up this experiment over dinner, and we chose Ellen DeGeneres as a celebrity because we thought that she was on social media and she seemed like she might be open to it. And so concocted this 90 Days to Ellen campaign, which was choosing 90 days to only use social media to get Ellen to have lunch with Brian and DJ. That's the premise. Uh-huh. So we started a website. You can still go and look at it. It's live still. It's called 90days2ellen.com. And you'll be able to read it from the back to the front because we ended at the 91st day with our very last blog post. Skip to the end. We did not even get her to respond. But we had so much fun trying to reach out, write blog posts, share socially. We built this incredible community over those 90 days, not even expecting it because this was an experiment. Sure. But what we found is when you put something out there that has a goal and energy behind it, mm-hmm. and you have people consistently putting their energy towards it, mm-hmm. and it's fun, mm-hmm. then other people want to be a part of it, and the community grows organically. And that's exactly what happened with 90 Days to Ellen. We grew a community of, I can't remember how much, it was around 1,200 people who were rooting for us, creating random videos of themselves, like making videos saying, Ellen, please have lunch with DJ and Brian, and creating social tiles, like crazy, all the internet meme cliches. We've had a social tile.
Isn't that great?
Ellen, and most of them are posted on the blog. I got a chance to, exercise my blogging chops. This is even before I had my own blog. And like just come up with funny, stupid blog posts all in an effort to try to get her to pay attention. And what's interesting is we had people contacting us in the background saying, I could probably get the phone number of her producer if we just want to call.
Right.
You guys can do it. And we said, no, this is an experiment. Let's try to do it with social media.
Right.
And we learned so much from this about what does it take to build a community? What does it take to get things to go viral? What does it take to have a successful social campaign? Because we didn't do our homework about celebrities. Like I said, we just baked it over at dinner.
Sure. So
what we didn't realize is Ellen doesn't do her own social media, and she uses it just as a broadcast channel. There's nothing wrong with either of those two things.
Sure.
But we would have probably chosen a different celebrity that actually is really, truly on Twitter or does their own Facebook or whatever, or engages with people on their Facebook page. And it was so much fun. And it was probably the cornerstone of a lot of not only presentations for Brian, as he's going out and presenting, as he, had launched his first book, because that story was in his first book, Human, but it has shaped how we build campaigns even to this day. Now that we've sort of, as a business, we've sort of graduated into running influencer programs for big brands. And it's really helped us understand how to better manage influencers, engage influencers, and build that community in the right way. So it was just an incredible learning experience.
Well, and you know what, there's a lot of stuff that goes to that. And when you look at that, it also teaches you that you need to be a community manager, right? That you need a community manager managing your social media. You should never, as a business and a brand, you should never have social media that's going nowhere, right? I mean, we really need to make sure that somebody's managing it, because I bet if and when, because Brian wrote, are you listening, Ellen DeGeneres? I bet, if Ellen found out that this was going on, she's pissed off, because nobody, no star, no celebrity, nobody in social media ever wants not to know that somebody was trying to get a hold of them, because they could use it as a marketing tool. So they're smart enough to know that there's benefit in it. So I just, it's just a reminder as well for people that you need a community manager. You've got to manage. Social media is not going anywhere, and you need to utilize it to your best ability, because all that did, and again, she didn't do anything wrong, but all that did was kind of make her look bad, for the 1,200 people in the community to say, oh, well, why wouldn't she respond? And so again, she didn't do anything wrong. They didn't do anything wrong, but it just teaches other people to make sure that they're engaged in their social media, and that that you're responding and connecting with an audience. So, is there, we're going to introduce our guest in a minute. I'm going to have a quick clip from one of our sponsors, but is there anything else about the book that you want to tell us before we transition to that? Because again, this book is so chock full of inspiration, motivation, innuendo, and some stick figure drawings that I have to say I got a little excited. So is there anything else that you wanted to share about this besides, of course, which we'll get to, how they can order it, and how to go to your website, and we'll be dealing with all that at the end.
I would say, bottom line, key takeaway, read the book or not. I hope that you do, because
No, read the book. Not or not. Read the book. # read the book.
I really tried hard to, make everyone laugh. But the key takeaway is just don't ever think that you're not creative. You are human. You are absolutely creative 100%. There are tools out there that will help you break outside of your comfort zone and exercise your very best version of yourself, because we only have one go at this, at least, depending on what you believe in our lifetimes here.
Right.
next lifetime, you won't remember this lifetime, but just remember that you are a creative being and you have something unique and special to contribute to this life. Yes. So take advantage of it in the very best positive way.
Oh, I love that. That's excellent. So again, we might get a chance to kind of blend in a couple other things at the end. I do want to let you guys know, and that you can get it. And that, Courtney, are we driving them to CourtneySmithKramer.com to order the book? Was that your choice?
Well, there's an Amazon page. If you just go to Amazon, you can Google Courtney Smith Kramer. I'm the only one up there.
Okay.
It'll pop up, or you can put the title of the book in there. But if you want to go read my blog, there's more ancillary content.
Yeah. I got to tell you, some of the blog post titles will definitely catch your attention, ladies and gentlemen. And as a marketer myself, I'd like to drive you to her website, not only because you can order the book there, but because you can get to know her. And of course, we always want to increase our traffic at our website and get them to get on your emails. Because again, if you guys are ready for some, content and comments and conversation, you'll get to see some really fun stuff there. So I would go to CourtneySmithKramer.com, and again, that'll be in the show notes on Facebook and Google. And YouTube, as well as everywhere we have it. So those of you guys who are downloading the podcast, thank you again for being here. I recommend that you guys go look at episode 27 with Courtney Smith Kramer. She's chock full of information, fun, humor, authenticity, etc. We're going to do a quick thing from one of our sponsors, Archon Mounts. You guys know I am a live streamer. I daily live stream, and right now we are broadcasting here on Facebook Live, as well as some other platforms we usually go to. And Archon Mounts is what I use each and every day. If you guys are watching me on Periscope, that I use the TW Broadcaster. I also use that mount. I have it in my purse with me all the time, because if you go to Archon, ARKON.com, and you guys can use my code FitchSlap. You guys can get 20% off your orders. So remember that if you go to Archon, and I know if you guys can hear the ladies in the background because they know that they're actually live, I was really sorry about that. And Miss Mia Voss is in the house, and she's kind of a problem child. We're going to talk about her in a minute, but go to Archon.com, use the code FitchSlap, and get yourself some gear. Look like a pro. So now that I kind of let the cat out of the bag about who our guest is, let's introduce. Well, first of all, I'm going to let you, Courtney, talk about your guest, who you got on, and what you see.
Oh dear!
I can't talk about Mia without just cracking up for days.
Without a cackle.
I'm getting red because of her post today. Like my cheeks are still red.
Oh, I'm so surprised you let me on here after reading that.
I had to rethink. No, I did not have to rethink. I know you can control yourself, Mia. I have no doubt that you can control yourself.
The irony is I actually don't swear on live streaming or really on my social. It's really in person that it happens.
Oh, there you go then. And I haven't got to meet you in person, so I'll be prepared.
Yes.
Like a little rosy cheek.
Yes.
So, you have a really great announcement. You and Mia have some cool stuff coming up. So, Courtney, I'm going to have Rob pop you two on. And why don't you share with us really quick about what our juicy announcement is?
Well, we could not be more excited about this.
Well, wait till Rob switches you over. So there you go. All right. Perfect.
Wait, take two. We could not be more excited about this.
Right. Morticia's listening.
Okay. So by the way, Morticia, the bearded dragon, is my grand dragon. She used to be my daughter's, and Mia took her home in a dog carrier on a plane last time she was here.
She is living the high life up in here now.
She has a much better quality of life.
That's a whole new topic that I'm wishing we had that extra half hour, because now I have a whole new arsenal of questions. But we'll just go ahead. Why don't you share with us this exciting new thing you guys have going on?
Yeah. So Mia and I have been working together. Well, we first met in real life just at South by Southwest, which is crazy because I feel like we were probably separated at birth.
Yes.
But regardless of that, we've been working on what originally started as a show concept of road tripping together and interviewing small business owners to try to figure out what drives them to be successful. Mm-hmm. And we tried to make that get off the ground, and it just kind of wasn't going. And then but
we still had fun.
But we had a blast, and we've been to many places together. Mia, for those of you guys who don't know, she's a luxury travel blogger, and has shenanigans wherever she goes, but also is a great car promoter. She works with Lexus and Toyota. Toyota?
That's the other car.
Tay Oda.
Toyota.
It's a new car coming out. Because it's fired.
You guys didn't see that at CES, but that's a new car.
Yeah, right. The knockoff cease and desist brand. And Mazda as well. Is that correct?
Yes, and also with hotels and a bunch of different brands. So yeah, whatever car is fun to drive. Yes.
So we have gone on a few adventures together using the hashtag World Traveler's Life, and have now successfully been able to work with our friend Mark Fidelman, who you saw earlier in this broadcast, who owns Fanatics Media. We are going to be filming the pilot to our new show, which we're going to play a game about the name because it's TBD. Yes. But the new show is going to be Mia and I interviewing sommeliers and chefs and other people in the culinary world. Mm-hmm. Right?
Mia. I'm bringing this. I am actually bringing this
as a web series. So we are shooting the pilot next Tuesday. Here in San Jose at the International Culinary Center, which is a fantastic culinary school. They compete with the CIA and the Cordon Bleu. They are absolutely top shelf A-list culinary school. And we're going to be shooting it there, interviewing one of their master somms, and it's going to be shenanigans.
Well, I have to say though, now that I'm hearing all this, I really feel like I somehow need to get involved. Like if there's shenanigans and food, like, right? and of course a critter, there's a critter.
Yes. She's going to be with the sitter back home, but she'll be watching live stream. So it'll be good.
Yeah. So look for our Facebook Lives and Snapchats and Periscopes next week as we're actually at the International Culinary Center. And then, of course, after post, when the pilot is finished, then I'm sure it's going to be super fun. So we cannot wait for that.
Can't even.
And so we thought that we would play a game because we don't have a name for the show yet.
And it's been bounced around. So
we thought, I brought paper.
Okay.
So I was going to read. Hold on.
Please do.
Requirement of reading over 40.
And give me 1 second really quick. For those of you, I know I'm not on screen. I saw some new people pop in. I saw my friend Kimberly Burns in Hawaii that just popped in. Welcome, Kim. I know my face isn't on screen because I have these two lovely ladies, but thank you guys for being here. And those of you, again, who are listening on the podcast, you guys definitely get involved in this conversation too. We will have this. It should be up within 48 hours of this broadcast. So there still might be time for you guys to get in on this, the voting concept. So definitely do that. And Charlie is in the house. Charlie. Me and Charlie had a little banter going back and forth with our knock out, Mia. I love that. Yeah,
that's who's going to be watching the dragon, by the way. So thank you, Charlie.
There you go. Okay, so go ahead and give those names out and let's figure out what one you guys think would be the best name.
Okay, so I'm just going to read them in random, no priority order.
Okay.
Okay, the first one, Food and Booze Chicks.
Let me just marinate on that one for a minute.
That's a good one. And I used to have a show called The Food and Booze Show with Chef Dennis. So this would be a natural trend, right into that.
Right. Okay. So Mia's trying to sway.
Yeah.
No, because the other ones are good. Mm.
Choice number 2, Get in My Belly.
Alrighty then. Get in My Belly. You gotta love that one.
Choice number
pregnancy or food, but hey, we can or the 21 ways to create
the creative food baby. Yes.
Number 3, Girls Got Taste.
Okay. Mild. It was very good, but so mild. It's
mild,
right?
Number 4, Tastes and Toasts.
Okay.
Super mild.
Not toes, taste and toasts.
Not toes.
Or toast, as in it's burnt.
Right. What are the fetishes of the...
I can't even because I am so grossed out my feet. So I'm about to
Okay, go ahead.
Okay. Okay. Number 5. Number 5. Eating out.
What?
Eating out.
Like... Oh, I'm sorry. Wait a minute. What? Okay, eating out. Yeah.
I mean, like at a restaurant.
I know, but that's so boring. That is so not you. I don't even know.
Well,
or something else, but you know.
Okay. I didn't see drinking wine on this broadcast. But okay, go ahead.
Okay, and then the last one, that's what she sipped.
oh,
Okay. Wait, I just gotta catch my breath for a minute. Okay. That is hysterical knowing you. Okay.
they're so good. I think we should just call I can't even, as in we can't even choose between.
I like that.
How
It might
can
be hashtag I can't even.
I can't even finish drinking this, or I can't even drink as much as I want, or I can't even eat that much. So,
so Mia's added in number 7, which is I can't even. So, really quick, Rob, put me back on screen for 1 sec. So, guys, we really do want you to vote, or give her some feedback. She really does want to know. So, let me read those again. Food and Booze Chicks, Get in My Belly. I think that's like the redneck version. Girls Got Taste, Tastes and Toasts, Eating Out. Okay, wait, I'm sorry. That's what she sipped.
No,
I can't.
Not snipped. Huh? That's what she snipped.
I said sipped. Not
said
snipped.
sipped.
You're like Lorena Bobbitt over here. I didn't say.
oh, but that can be a show where we're either like cutting things or,
No,
I'm
that does
telling
not
you,
end well.
I gotta visit this place. Oh, this is hilarious. Okay.
We have Vicki so wound up. This is amazing. I love this.
Right? It's hilarious. Or I can't even. So I would love to hear what you guys have to say. They have their own names over there, I think. Taste Toast and Toast.
Yeah, feel free to do a write-in as well.
Oh my gosh.
We take write-in nominations for sure.
Oh my gosh. Mia Voss, Jen Nelson says you're one of her favorite ladies.
That's my wine sister.
She's what?
My wine sister.
Oh, that's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Michael Thomas said it's on a chef's side. And Brian says, your hubby says, this is really happening. There wasn't any question mark there, so I'm not sure if he's asking or.
Oh, I forgot to tell you, honey. We're shooting this pilot.
Mia's coming to town again. He's a little scared. Henry's going to be more scared, I think.
It's getting real up in here, and Mr. Is Feidelman. Am I saying it right? Fidelman. Forgive me. That's all I have to say. Just forgive me that I keep messing up your name. But he's producing it for you, right?
Yes, he is.
And so that is going to be like, can he keep a straight face like with you two around together? Does he know how to do that? Right?
Oh, we will find out.
He's gonna have to sedate himself just so he can kind of,
You should have seen when we got the email, or actually when we were on the conference call, when he said, I love the idea of you, talking about businesses, which we love too. He's like, but why don't we just do this thing where it's just you guys, eating and drinking and talking to people, and we're like the angel choir. Yes, the angel choirs of.
Well, like if somebody ever says to you in school, hey, would you like to get paid or to do this for a job, to go eat and drink and talk to people? And girls would be like, I'm so in. And then at the time we weren't, there was no wine involved, but now you add in the wine component and it's all.
It's more like, would you like to get paid to goof off?
Right. Exactly. Yes. And that's what it's all about, what we love to do, right? How we have fun.
It's fun.
So, oh my gosh. I'm super excited about it. So you guys you're filming your pilot when?
Next Tuesday.
Tuesday.
Okay. There's In Search of Packy. What does that say?
That was a Boston term. The ladies, Rose and we had Rose and Joanne, and we were going to buy booze, and they're like, oh, it's a Packy store. So you East Coasters know it's the Packy store.
Oh my gosh.
So that's the Packy story.
This is hilarious. Honestly, this has been one of my very funnest interviews ever. And Mia, I didn't get a chance to ask you, but I would love to have you as a guest on sometime. I'm putting you on the spot a little bit, but I'm hoping you say yes.
No. Yes, please. I was like, is she going to ask me? It's kind of like that.
I would love to have you, right? I will send you a message after, but I would love to have you on. And again, this has been absolutely so much fun. Mia, would you like to say anything before I wrap it up? Because we went over a little bit already. I promised Courtney we'd be done by 8 and we're not, but
no, it's all good. I waited up to, no, I'm very excited for this too. So this is something that Courtney and I cooked up. Courtney, you were talking about earlier about like cocktail napkin or ideas on the fly. That was this entire thing that's coming to fruition just about 10 months later, 11 months later. It's kind of cool.
I love it. And again, when you collaborate with people that you totally vibe with, when you get the whole, thing going on, nothing can stop you, especially when it's girls. Let's face it, when girls get together, we get stuff done. We have creative ideas. We just
GSD,
right?
We GSD.
Yeah, I absolutely love it. So Mia, I'm going to send you a message after this. I would love to have you on. Thank you for coming on, popping on a last, kind of just a little cameo appearance and rocking my world with your, critter and your wine and your sign and your
beagles over here. I didn't even get that one in there. So there you go. It's busy.
You're a rock star. So thank you so much, Mia, for being here. I really appreciate it.
Thanks, you guys. Night. Thanks, you too.
Okay, so Courtney, again, we went over a little bit, but I hope that you have had a fantastic time because you have been a stellar guest. You've made us laugh and smile and, contemplate. And you gave us a little lesson about, showers and thoughts and dopamine and there's been so much.
You want lessons about showers? I'm your girl.
I'm thinking the next book. Maybe we should collaborate on a book together. We'll start talking about thoughts from the shower. I don't know about how well it would go over, but I bet we could rock it. I'm just saying, I think
we can rock anything we want, right?
Amen, sister. Amen. So let's see. How can people get to hold? I'm going to put up your show card in a minute, but how is the best way for people to reach you besides going to your website, CourtneySmithKramer.com, and that's Courtney with a C, CourtneySmithKramer.com for those of you who are listening on the podcast.
But don't forget the U, COURT.
Oh, well,
anyway.
You don't need that pesky you anyway.
Not like Courtney Cox. It'll be in the notes.
Well, it's just a letter. What's a letter among friends? Okay, so there's the show card. We'll put it up again in a minute, but take a screenshot of that and it will be in the show notes. So I tried, it's such a long name and I'm trying to make sure people spell it with a K and I blew it. So thank you.
Well, this is one of the downfalls of having the maiden name of Smith.
Yeah.
Half the country has your last name.
Right? Exactly. But again, you're amazing. So how else should they get a hold of you? Do you have a favorite social media platform?
I do. Well, always on Facebook. You can connect with me on Facebook, Courtney Smith Kramer. On Twitter and Snapchat, I am at CS Has Arrived. And I believe on Instagram, I am C Smith PM.
Okay.
Random, but yeah.
For Purematter, right? Because you work at Purematter, but so it's not as random, but oh my gosh. So all right, so that's how to get a hold of you guys. And we do have a favorite quote. Courtney gave us a favorite quote. We always try and make some drafts up and send things out on social media, plus different things that you'll have said tonight. Everyone is creative in their own unique way, and just like sex, everyone can do it. Now, that is not condoning it for you young girls that have peeked in and listened to this show anyway, even though mama said no. This is, we're talking about adults, right? We're talking about responsible people. But I love that, I love your whole demeanor about the whole thing. I love everything that you said today and brought to the table. And I have a couple other announcements to make as we wrap up. But do you have anything else you wanted to say, to let people know, or a closing thought for them?
The only other thing is make sure you tune in to H2H Chat Mondays at noon Pacific time. Brian and I are going to be co-hosting starting next Monday for the first time. John Farrar from Nimble is our first guest, and I'm super excited to be a co-host of the show. I've been a long-time listener, first-time caller. And
I love that.
So super excited to be co-hosting that show. And other than that, Vicki, thank you times infinity for having me on here. I had such a great time.
Oh, well, thank you again. I really thank the team here in the background. As you know, the green room, they're here to greet us, make sure we got our ears on straight, our eyes on straight, and everything's focused. So thank you to Rob Hicks and Mr. Sam Gonzalez. They have done an amazing job. And those of you guys who have tuned in and shared out the broadcast, we really, really do thank you. I know I want to remind you guys, I will not be here next week. I'll be at the Tony Robbins event in Florida and getting some more of that, the mind blown experience, because Tony does have a really amazing set of information to give us. I'll be at Business Mastery in Palm Beach, Florida. So any of my listeners that are there, please message me. I'd love to do a meetup at some point there. I'm actually going to meet Wagner Dos Santos there, so I'll meet him in real life for the first time. And I also still am on the hunt for he. If you guys know that I have a podcast on Monday nights called He Said, Red Said, where red is always right. And I'm replacing my co-host. If you go to hesaidredsaid.com, you guys can click the link and you can actually apply to be my he. I'm looking for somebody who's into witty banter. The show is about a little bit of business and a whole lot of fun. And I'm looking for somebody that can really complement my personality and style so we can really blend things together and bring people a Monday Fun Day show. And then I want to, put up Courtney's information again so you guys can download that or you guys can take a screenshot of it. Definitely go follow her. Again, the book is classic. I hope you guys will actually purchase it. I realize that it has a lot, some undertones that you might not have been comfortable with, but as someone that comes from a very G-rated background, I'm recommending it. I really think that you'll learn a lot from the book. I think that you'll catch her vibe and understand that she actually is out there presenting information to help you rock that dream. So for those of you who don't know me, I'm going to introduce myself really quickly, especially if you're new to the podcast. I want to thank you guys so much. My name is Vicki Fitch. I am a direct sales expert. I've been in the industry 20 years, 10 sales and recruiting internationally for more than a decade. I've also built and sold 4 companies. I'm an author, a speaker, and an international business consultant helping you get outside the 5,000 to turn your passion into your profits. If you guys are in need a consultation, you can go to VickiFitch.com/20. And I'm really excited. I appreciate you guys being here. I do live stream at least once, if not twice a day on both Periscope as well as Facebook Live. So I hope you guys are following me. And I want to remind you, like I always do, to dream it, believe it, and achieve it. Ciao.